Blog Talk Radio.
There is a mystery lurking the forested areas of the world. Many have seen something, but what is it? Are they seeing known animals? They claim they walk upright, like a human. There are so many eyewitnesses. Can they all be wrong? Is someone just playing a trick on people? Or is it possible a large bipedal being could exist in the forests of the world? You have a decision to make. Do you believe it exists? These are the topics we discuss on Sasquatch Watch Radio. To another episode of Sasquatch Watch Radio. Today is November 26, 2013. It's almost Turkey Day. We're getting close, a couple more days. And before we get on with our guests, because we got some great guests for you tonight, but before we get to that, I'd like to get the one and only co-host on here, the Creature Seeker.
Hey, Billy, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing tonight?
I'm getting ready for Thanksgiving and can't wait to dig into that turkey.
You ain't eating no turkey. Please don't.
Yeah.
Please don't insult us and think you're eating turkey.
No,
I didn't know turkey looked like prime rib. Did you put some drumsticks on the side of the prime rib or something, sticking them up in toothpicks or something?
Well, Billy, I was at the casino over the weekend, and they had this prime rib, all-you-can-eat buffet.
Oh,
and,
man.
I really put a hurting on it.
They didn't kick you out?
No, Billy, I was there so long that one of the managers came by and gave me some chips to go and gamble.
That buffet had to have been expensive for a prime rib buffet. What was it, like $40?
No, Billy, it was like 20, 24, $25.
Really?
Yeah, it was. They didn't give you the cheap stuff. It was all top shelf. You get the prime rib carving station. You got they had like all you can eat like snow crab legs, cocktail shrimp, they had clams and mussels, and it was incredible. I mean,
that's
really
pretty good for $25.
You can't beat it. You can't beat it. Of course,
that is awesome.
I lost. I tried my hand at blackjack and lost a ton of money. So I was gonna make sure that I got my money out of the buffet table.
Well, I'm sure you accomplished your goal.
Well, I did, and trust me, when my fourth time in line, I get up to the carving station, and I told the guy, I'm going to double down, Jack.
Oh man, unreal. Yeah, I was talking to Joedy Cook earlier, and I told him, I said, we've had rain all day long. Apparently, Ohio's got a little bit of snow this morning. Sounds like they're going to get hit again, possibly. So, what about up your way? Are you going to get any of this?
I don't know. There's some. I think out in the western part of the state, there's probably a little snow, but it's. I think it's just too warm for it. Out in the eastern part, and we, people are bracing for a storm, but I think it'll really be too warm. It's supposed to warm up even tomorrow.
Yeah. I don't think we'll get any myself, but we'll wait and see. Who knows? I could be surprised.
Yeah, you never know.
Well, without further ado, I would like to introduce our guests. Since ladies are always first, we're going to introduce, let me tell you a little bit about our guest tonight. Raven Meindel is a cryptozoologist and a field researcher. Been featured on History Channel's Monsterquest. She's the producer and co-host, along with good friend and colleague Nick Redfern, of the weekly radio show Exploring All Realms with Redfern and Raven, which is currently on hiatus. Redfern and Raven are now authoring a book together, plan to work on other projects of the strange and unusual kind in the future. She currently blogs for the CFZ's Crypto Squad. She is their Michigan representative in the U.S. and has also been a featured writer in their magazine, Animals and Men. She currently resides in southeast Michigan with her husband and children and on the family small farm. And she works from home as an intuitive counselor, a Reiki Master, and a relaxation therapist. So everyone welcome Raven to the show. Hello, Raven.
Hi.
Hey, Raven.
Hello. Yeah, ladies first, except if I'm in line behind him at the buffet, right?
That's right. That's right. You'll get run over. I mean, you got to be careful.
Well, Billy, you said ladies first, but since you're talking about Raven and Joedy Cook, how do you decide? You flip a coin?
Oh boy.
When Bruce walks into those buffets, it's like the Crumps, from they sit there and start bringing out the food and stuff, because he just piles it on and piles it on.
4 times to the buffet? 4? Really? That's impressive. That's Bigfoot style right there.
It was 4, more or less, Raven.
It doesn't surprise me though.
4 times. That's a cow, isn't it?
Yeah, but you don't know the state of mind I was in. I'm a horrible gambler, so I'm playing blackjack.
I'm depressed, so I'm eating a cow.
And I wasn't doing so well. I think I don't know. I lost like $16 at the blackjack table. And
God, $16.
Yeah. So then I was, I was determined to get my money's worth out of that casino. So I really, like I said, the kibosh on that buffet there. But it was great. It was great.
That's great. So, Raven,
you're like the Asian Steve Jobs, and you lost $16 at the table, and you're complaining. Come on now. You're probably one of the most intelligent individuals out there, and you lost 16. You're like Rayman, dude. You should be able to figure that out.
That $16 is probably one of the zippers on the window of his tent.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, if he would have thought about it as steak, he probably would have done it.
It's not a box of toothpicks, though, Joedy.
I'm from Kentucky. I don't know.
Oh, boy. All right, well, before we get too far out of control, Raven, what got you into this mess?
Well, I've always had an interest in animals since I was a kid, and my mother was very much into paranormal subjects and, anything to do with ufology or anything weird and strange and unusual, So I sort of took after her footsteps there. But I did have an encounter when I was a kid along with some other children. We were playing hide and seek in the forest, and we saw a tall, first of all, what we thought was another friend of ours who hadn't come in from playing hide and seek, and we're like, we see you. And she came up behind us and said, what are you guys looking at? Well, then, it dawned on us that this thing was much taller, and, it was kind of peering out from behind a tree, like rocking back and forth. And it suddenly dawned on us it was much taller than her, much hairier than her. And we all sort of screamed and ran in unison. And at the time, I was pretty terrified to go back in the forest as a kid. But later, as an adult, it started making me more curious about what's really out there. And as I started hearing more things and hearing more people's encounters, I became more curious. And of course, the curiosity overrides the fear every time. That's why horror movies work. But as an adult, when I look back on that event, the thing now really that bothers me the most about it is not so much seeing what we saw, if in fact it was Bigfoot. It's how we reacted, and I tell this every time I tell this story. I'm so passionate about it. It really has disturbed me throughout the years. I think back, and we reverted back to a primal nature, all of us. And as we ran, of course, we ran in a group. We wanted to stay together, for safety. But as we ran, I noticed, I look back on that and I'm thinking, oh, my God, we were like grabbing each other and pulling like on our shirts and coats and stuff and like trying to throw one another behind to the back of the pack. We were trying to be at the front of the pack. And you just never know how you're going to react in a situation like that. Some people freeze up and they don't move and they're just jaw agape and staring, and some people completely flip, and it was just, like I said, it's very disturbing to look back on that scene and think if this was something that really was out to, it was a predator out to hunt us or something, what we were doing to each other. That's
right.
Very, it's always made my skin crawl.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I can imagine. So what type of projects have you been working on lately?
Well, actually, I just had a case come in today of a woman in the Ann Arbor area that she lived on the outskirts of Ann Arbor when she was younger, that saw, what she, because she was young, and looking at it through the eyes of a young child, she said, well, I thought at first it was a man watching me through the woods, but I know he was just too hairy. There was way too much hair, and he just stared. And he was across the creek from her. Her house was had set where there were other homes in front, but the forest in the back, a thick forest in the back, and a creek in between. And the creature was on the other side of the creek watching her play. And so she, stared at him for a few seconds, and then, like any child, ran up to the house and told her mother and didn't want to go out there and play anymore. But she... talked a little bit about her fears and, but how she viewed it, her first inclination as a child was to think, oh, it's a hairy man, but she knew that, her, even as a child, her mind told her, no, this is not, that it doesn't make sense. That's not what I'm looking at. And she said it had very, very dark black eyes. She said she remembered the eyes.
Right. Yeah, I know a lot of people talk about the eyes. How they have no white pupils and they just seem to be all black. Right.
Yeah. And she called him the hairy mountain man.
Yeah.
So.
Bruce, do you have a question? I hear you back there.
Well, so Raven is, you consider yourself an intuitive versus a psychic. What exactly is the difference?
There is no difference really. It's tomato.
Okay. I almost had my fortune told. I was going to go to the psychic fair, but it was canceled due to unforeseen circumstances.
I hope you didn't pay in advance.
Leave it to Bruce.
If only you could spend your chips there, huh?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Maybe you should have had Raven with you at the blackjack table.
Oh, no, you don't want me at the blackjack table.
Wait a minute. Wouldn't that be considered cheating?
In some cultures.
Really, trust me. If you don't know how to play blackjack, the people playing blackjack don't want you at the table. They're brutal. They kicked me out of the table because I was doubling down on threes.
I take it that's bad.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I'm not a big gambler. I don't really care about the gambling. I was really interested in the buffet. So I was just kind of killing time until the buffet started.
Dude, you're stuffing your body with meat that's full of steroids. I mean, I think that's gambling a lot.
And hormones.
Hormones, yeah.
Well.
Oh, man.
I don't think he was thinking about that, Joedy.
Yeah. Well, when he wakes up one morning with boobs, I'm sure he will.
Yeah. Well,
and cramps.
Joedy, I didn't know you're, Charles Atlas over there.
To me, I was at one time.
All right. Well, while we got Joedy on here talking, Joedy just got done filming with Destination America. He's been studying the Bigfoot phenomenon since 1991. He's the author of Bigfoot in Ohio, Bigfoot Encounters in Ohio, Quest for the Grassman, Traces of the Grassman, The Hunt for the Ohio Bigfoot, The Beginner's Guide to Bigfoot Research, as well as Cryptid Ohio. He founded the Ohio Center for Bigfoot Studies and Cryptid Seekers, along with Ken Gerhard and Raven Meindel. Joedy has appeared on several television programs which discuss large primates in North America, including the History Channel show Monsterquest, SyFy Channel Sightings and Encounters, and the Learning Channel's Top 10 Mysteries of the World. So, Joedy, welcome to the show.
Yep, thank you.
Hey, Joedy.
Hey, Bruce.
So, Joedy, I'm going to ask you the same question. What got you in this crazy mess?
I think as far as like the Bigfoot stuff, I mean, I think everybody's always kind of been interested in it. When I was a kid, I remember going to the drive-in and seeing Planet of the Apes, and they showed the Patterson film. At the drive-in, they when they show the Planet of the Apes movies, for some reason they a lot of times they showed the Patterson film and things, and that kind of got me there. That was kind of neat. And then The Legend of Boggy Creek came out, and that was something that totally scared the hell out of me as a kid.
That scared me too.
And things, and it was just the whole thing. I remember as a kid always going in my backyard in the woods and stuff looking for Bigfoot, but it was just something that was kind of like always there. I was more fascinated with UFOs. And I did a lot of that, throughout the 80s and stuff. And we had a public access television show that was a live show that we did the first Wednesday of every month. And we would have, guests on there. You could call in and stuff. And it was really neat because, back in the 80s and going into the 90s and stuff, that was kind of unique, to have something like that. And so we started to get a lot of Bigfoot stuff, and then the producer was wanting to know if anybody wanted to take the Bigfoot stuff. So myself and George Clapperson, who co-authored the first two books, with me with Chris Murphy, and decided to go ahead and take it. And that's kind of how I kind of fell into it. And I think you guys can probably understand. I mean, it was kind of an obsession after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And things. And as time went on, I started to get a lot more into the cryptid stuff because Ohio, there's just so much stuff. We have a lot of dogman sightings. We have the Loveland Frogman, the Melonheads, just a numerous amounts. We have Betsy, just a numerous amounts of different cryptids and stuff. And so I, kind of expanded out a little bit to, the surrounding states and stuff, and it's really interesting because there's always something to do, to investigate and things. And I kind of got into the paranormal a little bit to kind of break the monotony up, and that's just as much of a, how can I say, they have just as much trouble as we do, with with the inner fighting and backstabbing and all that stuff and things, and but in that field, it's like everybody, I thought everybody was an expert in this field. I mean, in that field, everybody's an expert.
Yeah.
And there's 150 books out telling you how to be a ghost hunter, and everybody's different. And it's just it's interesting. I mean, I love my field. I love what I'm doing. There's I like the first season of Mysteries and Monsters of America for Destination America. I did a lot of research for them. For that first season, got them in contact with a lot of the eyewitnesses. Because they contacted me. It was kind of weird because what they did, they contacted me and they said, we're looking at doing this show, and we need somebody that knows something about cryptids. And if we give you a list of cryptids, can you give us some information about them? So they gave me a list of cryptids. I gave them like 2 paragraphs about each cryptid and stuff. And then, they came back. They really liked it, wanted more information on them. So they said, can you give me information about sightings, possible witnesses? So I did that. So I did that for about a few months, and then that's when I found out they was actually doing the show, and it kind of worked out really good, So I was kind of happy about that, and then this year I was doing a lot of helping them get a lot of people lined up for the show and witnesses and stuff like that, and then they had me do. Are you guys there?
Yep, we're here.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Sound like someone.
That was just not enough. I'm back.
Oh, okay.
It was the FBI.
Okay. Sorry.
It was just the Men in Black, Joedy. Don't be afraid.
Men in Black. Okay. All right. I thought Bruce might was choking on his T-bone or something. So, but anyhow, I'll stop here. But so
Sounds good. Now, what are you currently working on, Joedy? You got anything real exciting you're working on currently?
Well, there's an investigation that it's a little bit north from where I live. There's a farmer that he had an attack on his property where he had 2 ponies where something got into the corral, and part where the corral is, there's a metal fence, and instead of it coming in and breaking the wood side of the fence, it came in and bent down the metal rail that came across there, and whatever did it had been extremely strong, and came in, pulled one of the ponies out, took the pony to the field and killed it, went back in, grabbed the other one, pulled it out, and ripped its head off.
Oh,
and
wow.
put both of them together. So the 2 larger horses were still in the corral, so it would chase the larger horses around, and one of them had about a foot-long gash going down its neck, very nasty gash, and the other one had like scrape marks and stuff like on the back of the legs and stuff, and so the sheriff's department really covered it up really bad, saying it was a bunch of young kids who were into devil worshiping and stuff like that, and and they were using axes and things. But the point of it is, there's no way they would have been able to get these horses out of that corral. They would have to literally lift them up and do what they did. But they weren't eaten. That's the thing. They were just mutilated.
Right.
The animals were. And the farmer, I mean, he was saying he was getting like howling noises, for like a week and a half prior to that. But he said he's been seeing the Division of Wildlife, like out in the field, in his property, out there. So they know there's something out there. So they're not sure what it is, but the tracks that were there were basically covered up by the sheriff's department and things, and the sheriff's department.
So there were tracks.
Oh yeah, there was tracks. The farmer said there was tracks, and the farmer took pictures and everything, and the pictures were given to the sheriff's department. The sheriff's department no longer has pictures because when they went to download them, off the DS card, up all of a sudden they all, got mistakenly erased, except for like 2 of them is what the farmer kept, which I saw those and stuff. But like I said, the fact that whatever it was tore the head completely off of one of them, and it was a pretty nasty the way it did it. It was, you can see it was just like a ripping motion,
Right.
And these are pretty good sized ponies,
yeah.
That did it. But he took them and put them in an area, both together. That was the odd thing. But like I said, it wasn't. It didn't eat them or anything like that. But a lot, apparently some of the other farmers have had other livestock that has been coming up missing and killed, up there. But so
I worked on a case in 2011 that was somewhat like that, Joedy, only it was geese, ducks, and chickens. And the photos that I saw of the aftermath, I was taken to the farm and shown, the prints, where the prints were, and they led all around the house, out by the barn, into the corral, where the horses were. Never did touch the horses, though, but went into the bird enclosure, which had a 4-foot fence around it, and whatever it was had stepped over that and gotten to the birds. And these birds were not killed in a normal manner that are, a typical predator, a wolf or a coyote or even a big cat would do. They had these, it looked like somebody took a big hand and punched a hole in the chest, just this big hole in the chest of a couple of them. And then 2 of them, they never found, not a feather, nothing. They looked all through the woods and could not find them. And the ducks, oddly enough, were killed. There was not any marks on them, so the necks were, what she thinks is the necks were broken, and they were stacked neatly, one on top of another, like intelligent stacked.
Well, see, that's how the two ponies were. They were both laying in the same direction, but it's like the local media had it on their website, and within 4 hours of them having it on their website, they were removed on all of them. And that way I felt was kind of odd that, it was moved off of a website, within, 4 hours of it being put on, when they kept some of the most other ridiculous stuff, that was on there and things. And the guy even had a Facebook page that Facebook made him take down, which I thought was
Did they take it down, or they made him remove it?
They made him remove it.
They made him.
Yeah, and that was the something I found was very odd also, and things, but like he says, there's a division of wildlife. He's been seeing them on his property. I mean, these guys were walking around with high power rifles, wearing camouflage. When they see him, they run from him like they're trying to hide from him. So. And when I ask him, what do you think it is? What's doing it? He doesn't know. So, it's either a possible Bigfoot maybe doing it, or a dogman, or something. But a lot of people are seeing strange things, but they're getting howling sounds, out there, and trees are being broken, trees are being knocked down, and things like that. Rocks are being thrown. And stuff, but like I said, one of the horses, it was chasing him, it had claw marks, and that makes me believe that it may not be a Bigfoot because of the claw marks,
right?
Right.
And things. I'm not saying big. Yeah.
Did you? So those 2 pictures that you have,
I don't have them. I've seen them.
Oh, that you saw. Did they show the the livestock mutilations or the horse mutilations, or were they pictures of?
One was the actual horse that had the large scrape going down its neck, and the other one was the two horses, the two ponies that were laying there, and with the one with the heads ripped off. Only one of them had the head ripped off.
Did they find the head?
Oh, the head was with it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The head was there with it.
And Raven.
In recent years, we noticed an increase in the violence. You know what I mean? These things are getting more and more violent, or at least it seems that way. The more and more the reports we're taking.
I was going to ask you, Raven. I mean, what does your intuition tell you about? I mean, these seem like very malicious, killings. What does your intuition tell you about the motive behind it?
Well, I have to, I use my intuition, but I have to look at this from the angle of a scientific view also. So I kind of take everything into perspective, and I use all the tools. And when I'm looking at it, my gut feeling is, just like anyone else's, what kind of monster is this? My first inclination is, as a human being is of course, monster. But you take everything apart, piece by piece, and you look, especially in the days when we're scientifically advancing so much, and they're doing de-extinction right now, and the Japanese are looking to create a woolly mammoth within 5 years. They said they'll have them in zoos. They're doing all this cloning and what they call, oh gosh, I wish I could remember what it's called. Anyway, where they take the cell nuclei, and they replace it.
Oh, stem cell?
Well, no, it's not like stem cell. Oh gosh, I was just reading a thing about it. At any rate, they're replacing tissue in the cell nuclei. Say, for instance, an elephant and a woolly mammoth are a lot alike. In fact, the woolly mammoth wasn't a whole lot bigger than an elephant. A lot of people have a different perception of it, but they weren't really that much bigger than a typical African elephant. Mm-hmm. And they will inject the tissue from the woolly mammoth into the nuclei, the egg. That nuclei into the egg cell of the female elephant. And so in the days when we know we're doing stuff like this, then 25 years ago, it leads me to think if we're just finding out about this stuff, someone has known about it for at least 25, 30 years, at least that.
Yeah.
So what's going on? So then I look more from a scientific perception at what might be going on. Is it a test in fear? Are they creating things in labs and letting them go? Who knows? I mean, there's so many angles, and all cards are on the table until something is figured out. So we have to kind of take into consideration the paranormal aspect also, because and Linda Godfrey has a couple of really good sighting encounters where half of the creature was seen, but half of it was, they could see like only half, like the upper half and the lower half was not visible. So it was like it was transmuting into another dimension or whatever, So I mean, you have to kind of look at some of these things as what's going on, from another perspective too. Even though science may not want to step over into that category at times, we have to look at all angles, because there are good witnesses, that are reliable, that are coming forth with these stories, and they're terrified. It's you can see that how traumatized people are by some of these. And really, I have noticed, especially in some of the reports that I've taken and ones I've read about, and I've heard from my colleagues, that they are getting increasingly violent. Now, whether that be that we're just hearing about them more often, or we have more communication access due to the internet, it's anyone's guess, but they do seem to be increasingly violent.
Right.
Raven, when you go out in the woods, because I know Joedy carries a Scorpion 6 knife, but when you go out, do you carry?
Sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't. It really depends on where I'm going. And I just remembered what that was called, Billy. It's called somatic cell nuclear transfer. So I don't remember that, but it just dawned on me. But anyway,
it was right on the tip of your tongue.
I had to think for a minute because I had to put all 4 words together, and I'm like, you get nervous. But anyway, I've got that Cindy Brady red light anxiety, so yeah. It's, but okay, what was your question?
do you carry? Are you concerned for your safety when you go out?
Yeah, sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't, and mostly it's just a big blade that I take. So
yeah.
It's not like Bruce, the one Bruce carries. He carries a samurai type. Well, one of those Essie jungle eyes.
Swear. Well, now, Joedy and Raven, have y'all ever worked together on any projects?
Yes, we have actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good. Go ahead, Bruce. Your turn.
Well, it's just really interesting that I guess in some circles, when you're doing Bigfoot research, and then you talk about dogman sightings, there's people who kind of look down upon you because you're researching anything dogman related. But like I always say, if you're in the field long enough, you eventually will get a dogman report. When I was down in Kentucky, where Joedy lives, I actually was talking to you are from Kentucky, right, Joedy?
He's in Ohio.
No, I'm from Ohio.
But you're thinking of Bart Nunnally. Nunnally is from Kentucky.
Yeah. Why is it so, Joedy? Why does everyone think you're from Kentucky?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Huh. Well, anyway, what I was saying is that when I was down in Kentucky, I was talking to some people, and there's just a lot of dogman sightings down there, and I don't know what the reason is for it, but what do you guys think? Like, do you? Is it your position that if it's dogman, it's probably fake, or do you have any real concerns that some of these sightings are actually verifiable, wolfman or dogman?
Well, actually, Joedy and I were just talking about that yesterday a little bit. Remember, Joedy, we were talking about the LBL.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not sure what that's all about because there's so many stories that have come out of there regarding shamans doing black magic against other tribal members, and the tribal members taking revenge, and then that one cursing the tribe and whoever comes on the land. There's that story, and there's also a story that came out of there. Joedy, isn't that the one where the little girl was found in the tree?
That's Lane Between the Lakes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's down there too. The 2 police officers that came into a lady named Jan Thompson. She worked in an IGA near there at the time, and she said they came in quite shaken, and we're talking about a scene that they were just on. Right there, that kind of, I'm not sure about that because I'm not sure that police officers would talk about a crime scene.
You'd be surprised,
Yeah, maybe.
If they go into an area, where they know somebody or
Oh, sure. Yeah.
and stuff, they would do it. If they're a community officer,
yeah,
and things, they would.
But, the one thing that's for sure is something's going on there. There is definitely something, and it's nefarious. It's there's something going on.
Because the thing of it is, the dogman is going to be, and Raven and I talked about this yesterday too. It's going to be the next hot cryptid that's out there. It definitely is. It's always been a favorite, I think, of a lot of people. Of all the cryptids out there, and the fact of it is, if you look, a map of the United States or even like a map of the world of dogman sightings or werewolves or however you want to, say it, just here in the continental United States, majority of the sightings, Wisconsin,
the Midwest,
Illinois, it's the Northeast basically. Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, going into Pennsylvania, West Virginia, going up to, New York State. and things. I mean, that's just like one of the biggest hotspots in the United States. Yeah, you have some stuff out west, very minute sightings and stuff like that. But if you go into Europe, majority of all the sightings are in like Eastern Europe and certain particular areas of Eastern Europe. Same thing like in Asia. They're just in certain parts of Asia. It's not like your Bigfoot stuff where it's completely spreaded all around the continent. They're just in isolated areas. And things, and and these are they are aggressive. I mean, especially like with the stuff that's going on here in Ohio. I mean, Germantown, Ohio, perfect example. There's a researcher, Adams Davies, there that's been doing research about a lot of cattle that's just been mutilated. I mean, literally ripped apart. And they're finding animals, pet animals that are being ripped apart and things like that. They're finding clothing that's ripped apart, clothing with blood and stuff on it. And, they're hearing, howling sounds, and they're seeing this thing that looks like a wolf. And there's guys literally walking the area with guns out there. I mean, this is how serious they're taking this out in Germantown. Akron, Ohio, another example. There's a Metro Park, and I investigated this. I talked to the Metro Park District, and they even confirmed to me, along with a paranormal group called MEPS up there in Akron, Ohio, that they confirmed that they know there is something in one of their metro parks that looks like a werewolf. That they know there's something there. That their rangers have seen it. I even got an eyewitness drawing from one of their rangers of this thing. And their official thing was, we don't like to talk about it. We just want to keep it quiet, and stuff. And we got to the point that we almost had them up to the very day to do an investigation up into the Metro Park, and their whole thing is you have to take 2 of their armed rangers with them out in the on this investigation. And all of a sudden it's just like boom, they just locked it up. They won't talk about it or anything anymore. Defiance, Ohio, back in '72, for a little over a week, this werewolf terrorized the town of Defiance.
Wasn't there a certain family, Joedy, in that one that was being?
No, that was in London, Ohio.
Okay.
That was in '81. That was in London, Ohio, and I'll get back to that one. But 2 railroad workers was even attacked by this thing. And they described it as a werewolf. And in London, Ohio, in '81, there was a family, a man, a woman, and a child. Their home, was being attacked every night, and harassed by a werewolf, a dog man. So we know these things are aggressive, and I think a lot of the aggressiveness is because, and I don't want to use because they're a dog, they might be some type of distemper or rabies that might be involved with that particular species, because I'm sure there's a possible chance that Bigfoot could get distempered, could get rabies. But on the other hand, how humans, humans, you have some that just aren't right in the head, and some are just plain violent, and some are just plain, ruthless. And I'm sure in those species you have some that are just plain ruthless, who they're just not right in their head, and you have some that are just very good, and things, and but these things here, they're not. Just got a report out of Akron where a hunter, this guy's 61 years old, and churchgoer, everything like that, man. He's hunting, comes out of the wood line, goes into an open field. 5 of them. He said 5 of these things came out at him in an open field, circled him.
Where was that, Joedy?
It was in Akron. I can't particularly say because it's a still ongoing investigation, but it was a little bit south of Akron, Ohio, and you know, at the time and this is all going on at the same place, and you know, I know Lynn Godfrey was in Norton, Ohio at the same time doing an investigation, which was probably about 2 miles away, you know, but you know, this guy and 5 of them, he said, came out at him, and he said only one of them showed any aggressiveness, you know, towards him. But he talked about these things in great detail, you know, and they basically kind of like walked him back out of the field into the tree line and kind of like got him out from the area, you know, and stuff. He had a weapon with him, and he says, I was ready to, you know, shoot these things but he was afraid that, you know, he would only be able to get 1 or 2 of them before the rest of them were on him, you know. But I think they knew what a gun was, and that was
they walked him out.
Yeah, he said they basically kind of like walked him out, more or less, you know.
Like
he
was
moving.
Him out of...
Yeah, like backed him out of the area.
Well,
you know.
If I saw like 6 werewolves coming at me, I would be walking out of there. I'd be home. He was. What happened to me?
Well, he was, but they stayed with him the whole time till he got to a certain point, and they stopped, and he just kept on going, you know. And
it's interesting, Joedy, how you were talking about only the one showing aggression because it acted like an alpha.
Yeah, yeah, and the thing of it is, I mean, you know, he's, you know, when you know, you can always tell when someone's bullcrapping you in a story, but when people start to get emotional, and you can see their eyes water up, and you can hear the fear in their voice and the expressions on their face, you know it's true on what they're saying.
Have either of you, Joedy or Raven, seen that show Paranormal Witness?
Yeah.
I've seen
the Wolfpack.
I've seen a couple of.
Yeah.
Did you see the episode where that there was that farm up in Maine where the eyewitness is retelling, you know, the fact that his farmhouse was besieged by these werewolf type looking creatures? Yeah,
it's called the Wolfpack. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And the thing of it is, I mean, you know, a lot of that was true, but, you know, you got to understand, they made a lot of that part up that wasn't there. I mean, you know, they didn't go into the bedroom with axes and knives. You know, that part didn't take place and things. There was a, you know, a couple other things that didn't actually take place, like the light. You know, they did see a light in the backfield, but it wasn't as bright as what they're saying, what they saw. But as far as that, you know, when they first encountered them, they did come up to the porch, and they, you know, up to the yard, and that one actually started to come up to the porch, and they did run in, but they never came up to the house, actually up into that, you know, the front porch. Now, when, you know, the father did go out to the car, you know, he did come face to face with one, but it didn't make any aggression as far as try to reach out to him. And when he did go out for the second time and got into the light, they did circle him. Now, all that stuff is true, but like I said, there's just a lot of little detail in there that just isn't true, you know. But there again, like I said, you're dealing with Hollywood, you know. So
right.
Yeah.
Well, we've had tons of questions in the chat room. I'm going to ask one of the questions from Ramble 1 a little bit later, because while we're on the subject of dogmen, I think that, who was it? I believe it was Digger Dog had a good question. Digger Dog wants to know, what do you all think? Do you think a dogman is a subspecies of Bigfoot, or do you think it's something separate altogether?
I think.
Go ahead, Raven. I'll let you go first.
Personally, I think it's something separate. There are some similarities, definitely, but there's some things that are just so differentiated between the two that it's just, they're not even, I don't know. To me, anyway, that's just my personal opinion. When I look at the reports and I, you know, put the two side by side, there's just I don't know. In some ways, there's really no comparison.
Mm-hmm.
As far as, but in some ways, yes, I can see that where there would be similarities. And there, now, could there be mistaken identity between the two? Sure, certainly. You know,
yeah.
But are they the same or subspecies? I really don't think so, because the one is really canid and the one is really more primate, the primate line, and it just doesn't seem to, anyway, to me, like I said, in my humble opinion, it doesn't make sense to me.
Right.
Joedy, when you were recounting the Germantown incidents, Boosie in the chat room had asked if there were any sightings up around the Dayton-Lima area in Ohio.
The closest one in that area was Franklin. Now I know there was an incident in Lima, but the closest, I mean, as far as Dayton, I don't have nothing in Dayton except for Franklin, and I know Franklin's kind of close to Dayton and things. There was an individual that had some tracks come through his backyard that were kind of like doggish tracks, but they had claw marks to them. But there was a blood trail that was coming along with them, and they were bipedal tracks. They weren't Bigfoot tracks. I mean, they were more canine, but they were much bigger. But like I said, they had kind of have a blood trail with them, and it was during the winter. But that was in Franklin, Ohio.
Okay.
And the one in Lima there was an individual that was going down a road, and he seen what he thought was a large dog off the side of the road. And when he got closer, it stood up and ran on two legs back into the wood line. He doesn't know if it was, eating a roadkill or something like that, which he thought it might have been what it was doing in the first place. But as he was getting closer, he said it did stand up and go off. But he did describe in that particular sighting that it had a tail. And in the Akron case, the ranger that saw that one, in his drawing, it had a tail also. And I've had quite a few reports of with a tail and without a tail.
Okay.
So, and I think the ones that they're seeing without a tail, I think are getting confused with possibly a Bigfoot, because I think there's different species of Bigfoot. You may have a Bigfoot that had more of a protrude snout to it, and maybe it might look more doggish, and people are confusing that. But as far as the dogman itself, I think it is a complete different species. I don't think there's a whole lot of them because of how isolated the sightings are, in the country.
Well, it looks like the origin starts in the Midwest. You look at Michigan and Wisconsin, and it kind of spreads out from there. If you look at the map of how the sightings have spread throughout the years.
Yeah. It definitely starts within that area.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even the history, of it. If you look at Native American culture, all Native American culture talks about, both Bigfoot and the dogmen. Both of them talk about it. And both species basically, did stay away from each other.
Right.
So we do know that. So
it's like the Crips and the Bloods; they don't mess with each other.
Well, the thing of it is, I don't believe in transformation, because it's physically impossible for a human to transform into a wolf. It would literally kill a person, to transfer, into a wolf. Your body would have to your bones would have to be cartilage, and it would basically tear your organs apart, doing that. So that whole part, you gotta just throw that crap away. This is a species that's always been here. I mean, every single culture, just about talks about these things, And Raven made a real good point yesterday when we were talking, about was that about genetic that these things could be genetic made, or what was that you were saying yesterday?
Genetically made, yeah.
Yeah, genetically made.
Genetically engineered.
You know, weapons.
Well, I mean, it's no secret that, throughout time, different projects have come about where they've tried to make this hybridization.
Oh, yeah.
And they're using animal tissue for different things. Just like, Joedy, I think you said it earlier, or maybe when we were on the phone or something, there's people that have baboon hearts. Well, we know that things can be modified, I guess, is the word I would use.
Right. And of course, we use pig valves and stuff like that for heart surgery,
certainly.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
And incidentally, some of these creatures have been described as having a piggish-type snout, some of them.
Yeah.
There have been some reports. I don't know, I guess we just have to just keep wondering, and I guess that's half the fun of it is doing the work and the research and, going out and on these investigations and checking out these stories, and it's half the fun of it. If we get to the end of the journey, where do we go?
Right.
Yeah. You don't want to find the truth yet.
Bruce, did you see any other questions in the chat? Because I got one that came in privately from Spin Dave.
I did not see any other questions. I think you asked the one, and
I've got
the one.
I've got one that I need to ask for Ramble 1, but while we're on the Dog Man, I wanted to keep those questions first, and then I'll ask Ramble 1's original question. But Spin Dave wants to know, does Dog Man have dog paw type tracks with claw marks?
From what I've seen, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. The tracks that I got out of Akron. Now, here's the thing. Some of the tracks vary. Now, the one that came out of Illinois was a very good dog style print with the claw marks, but it was very large. But the ones that came out of Akron from that ranger sighting, those were more like almost like a human foot, but they were about 10 inches, but they had claw marks, long claw marks. In that one, and things with that sighting. But most everyone I've ever seen, and I think Raven has seen it, and most anybody that deals with that, they've all had claw marks.
Right.
With those, and then they're very distinctable from a bear print. Very distinctable from a bear print.
Right. Now, was that all the questions you saw, Bruce, though, for the Dog Man thing?
That was all the questions I saw, Billy.
Okay. Now, originally, Ramble 1 had a question, and Joedy or Raven, have you guys, I'm sure you know about the book Missing 411, Dave Paulides.
Paulides, yeah.
Yeah. Have you all read that book, and what do you think about that book?
What do we think in terms of could some of these be due to Bigfoot? Is that what the question
or, Bigfoot, Dog Man, whatever, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is certainly something that is pondered. I personally have not read the books yet. I've just heard bits and pieces, and I've read bits and pieces about it, about them on the websites. And I do know one thing in particular that I don't know why this really sticks with me, but how many people were wearing the color red when they went missing? And
it kind of reminds you of that movie, The Village.
Right. You think of that, but also we think of how they say red makes bulls angry.
Yeah.
A bull, with the bullfighting capes are made out of red, and
right.
I don't know why I connect the two, but there's just something that every time I think about that connection. And what is it about the red color?
The thing of it is, I mean, everybody knows if you're going to go out into the woods, right? You wear a bright color, red, orange,
yellow
or white or something like that.
Right.
So if you are lost, you're able to be seen. that's why a lot of these people, are wearing, these bright colors just for that particular reason. I mean, I read part of the book and I put it down. I mean, hell, I sold the book at a conference. I mean, I just thought it was just the most ridiculous thing I've ever read. Honestly, I mean, the fact that, to believe that, and this is me, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but just the thought of Bigfoot out there eating our children in the woods, the fact that I would see a cougar, or a bobcat, or a bear doing it before I would see a Bigfoot doing it. Because the thing of it is, I don't think a Bigfoot would harm a child.
Yeah, but Joedy, none of the 411 books say that. The 411 books, all they do is they document the missing persons. They talk about
right.
The way
but he said on a show he believes that Bigfoot is eating the people.
He never said that, Joedy.
Yes, he did.
That.
Yes, he did. Yes, that's the whole point of it, dude. That's the whole point.
No, he didn't. I'm telling you, he stopped short. He stopped short of saying it. You may have. I think he stopped just short of saying that Bigfoot or UFO was responsible. Because I tried to corner him on that. I tried to
I heard
ask him,
on the show
like,
that he said that what he believes is that Bigfoot is eating, and I heard that prior, and that was the thing that got me to buy the book. Okay.
Wait, which show did you hear that on?
This was when the first book came out. When it first came out, it was one of these blog talk shows, and I sat there
I would love to hear that show because I tried to nail him down. I tried to get him to admit that.
Yeah, I remember when you guys had him on.
He wouldn't do it.
Yeah, but that and I know there was even a thing on Facebook. I remember I was reading about there was a link on there on an interview where he even mentioned it that because a lot of people were very upset about it, saying that Bigfoot, I mean, but the whole ideal of him bringing the Bigfoot into the disappearance,
But he never said that. That's what I'm saying. If I've listened to him on Coast to Coast Radio, I've listened to him on other shows. I talked to him personally and tried to get him to say that, but he definitely is not.
He won't because I mean that was his full intention of when the book was coming out. But when he started to get all this slack from everybody about it, he went 360 degrees turnaround on it.
Well, 360. That's where you begin. If you turn around 360 degrees.
Well, you know what I'm saying. He went
180.
He went 180. I'm sorry. I knew it was something. Right.
No, 360. 360.
Guys,
okay, look. I'm from Kentucky. Okay.
One thing you got to think about, though, Joedy. One thing you got to think about. Okay, and this is something I think about with my research all the time, is that we think of ourselves so far above, but we have to remember one thing. We are an animal too, and we are capable. There are people in our culture that are capable of hurting children, and you just said earlier yourself that some of them might not be right in the head. So
right.
It can happen. We can't say that for it is an absolute that you don't think that they would hurt a child. We don't know. We don't know that they would or they would not because we don't know.
I know, but I understand what you're saying, but
right.
the fact of it is,
we don't want to believe that they will.
No, but I would believe that that they would have been eaten by something,
right?
Or,
right, a mountain lion or something.
A mountain lion, or porcupines eat bones. A raccoon, will eat the bones and things like that. And things.
Right.
So, and
there's always something to finish everything up.
And to finish off,
Someone in the chat room brought up a good point, and that is, and I can corroborate this as well, that if you read stories of Bigfoot, there are, Native American stories of, women or children being abducted. Don't know what they do with them. We can only presume they may have eaten them or killed them. But I also have read stories from like Australia,
right.
even stories from Native American cultures in North America, where they say that these creatures are, they eat people.
Yeah, because that's true. Because when I went to British Columbia, we went up to there was a movie that was filmed. It's either called Bigfoot or Sasquatch. I can't remember the exact name. It was one of the two, but it came out in the 70s. Where
that's Sasquatch.
Sasquatch.
Yeah.
A bunch of cowboys went out to that area. It was kind of like a kind of documentary. And they went out up there in British Columbia. Well, we went out to that area, okay, and if I can pronounce it right, Kwilu Indian tribe is the main Indian tribe. Well, one of the main Indian tribes up there in British Columbia. And
I think it's Kwilu.
I can't pronounce it.
Yeah,
It starts with a K,
yeah.
But it's But anyhow, some of the guys took us out there, and they only took us like so far, and they said, this is where you need to go. Just go this way, and then you'll get to where you guys want to go. When you see the lake, just stop.
Mm-hmm.
And but he said, you're not going to come back. He said, these things are cannibals. They will eat you. I mean, and they were serious as a heart attack. I mean, when they said that, they said these things are 12 feet. They're 1,000 pounds. They'll eat you. They said they eat the bears. And I'm serious. I mean, and these guys were very serious. And they're like, you don't want to go. Well, we're Americans. We're tough asses. So we're going to do it. We spent 2 days. And we decided to come back because there was like, I mean, you didn't even hear crickets. I mean, it was like the earth is dead. I mean, it's like, everything off the face of the earth is dead. There was like nothing, no birds, no animals, nothing. Like I said, no bugs there. I mean, it was just nothing except for this most areas feeling of something watching you, and but they were saying, but like, they talked about they're cannibals. They will eat you, and I'm sure that, I'm sure they wouldn't, a lot of Indian tribes talk about that, of them being cannibals. And like you said, Australia talk about them, too,
Mm-hmm.
So especially in Australia, if you read some of the stories passed down, because the Aborigines in Australia have an oral tradition, and they speak very distinctly of the fact that if you were unfortunate enough to run across one of these hairy wild men, that you would indeed, they would eat you.
Right.
So, and in fact, there's one, and it just eludes me now, but there's a particular story of how these Aborigines fought a war of attrition against, these wild men because they were so dangerous.
Well, you know what? The funny you mention that, the Shawnee talk about it, a war of attrition. Also, with them, when the Shawnee were here in the Ohio Valley, before they were forced out west, they talk about it. It's in their legends. And I mean, I find that interesting, that you mentioned that, because like I said, the Shawnee is the only tribe that I found that mentioned that, of war, actually fighting them. And because in my book, Bigfoot in Ohio, there's a photograph of a battle axe that's sitting in a museum, a Native American museum here in Ohio, called Fort Ancient. And Fort Ancient is where most of the large burial grounds are in Ohio. And the Shawnee has that axe, what they used to fight the big blue giants with. And the big blue giants were the Bigfoot that they talk about.
There's a mound nearby there too, isn't there, Joedy?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of them here, and
right in that particular area that you're talking about.
Yeah, there's one big large one in that particular area, and things. But what's odd about it is that they said they found large skeletons in some of them, in some of those mounds that they dug up. So I find that kind of interesting too.
Yeah, they found like 3 males and 1 female.
Yeah, but they were like 10 feet.
Right. The female was like 11 feet tall, and the males were like 13 and 15 feet tall or something like that.
Well, one of them, I know one of them was 10 feet, and I thought that was the female, so I might have been wrong on that. But I know, but there was 3 of them that they found, that they pulled out of the mound. Was that the same ones they said they had the red hair? Well, one of them had a child, and that might have been the one with the red hair, because I got a picture of it in Bigfoot Encounters in Ohio. Is the one that I got a picture of it in that book and things. So yeah, I think that's the one with the red hair and stuff that's in there and things. Yeah, which is I think she was holding, if I'm not mistaken, I think she was holding something. I think they thought, because it was wrapped up, I think they thought it was a child, because it was so far back. They didn't have X-ray machines and stuff. And the odd thing about it, no one knows where the bodies are now, because they thought they were at the Smithsonian Institute, but they're not there.
Right.
There's a familiar story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll lay money. I will lay money that somewhere in the Smithsonian Institute there's a remains of a Bigfoot. I will lay money on it.
So many boxes and so many.
Yeah, because they're still right now moving stuff from paper to the computer, and they're still looking at another 200 years to do that. I mean, that's how much stuff they got to move from paper to computer of all the stuff. So I know there's a remains, because they only put out, if they have more than one of the object, they'll put it out on display. If they only have one, it sits in the back, and it will never see the daylight. And when Monsterquest did the series about the bear, about the cave bear, it took them 3 months just to locate the skull for that show.
Yeah.
So.
Did you Boothie asked what museum? Did you mention a museum a while ago?
Yeah, it's Fort Ancient.
Fort Ancient. Okay.
Ancient, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's in Wilmington, Ohio.
Okay.
And I believe the axe that you're talking about, Joedy, that axe was specifically made to pierce, because supposedly these giants had, one of the things that they were known for was having these thick skulls.
Yeah.
And that axe was meant specifically for piercing the skull.
The skull. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the thing of it is that, see, the Shawnee, they have a mask of the big blue giant, and they have what are those dolls called? Those native dolls. Raven.
Oh, you're talking about like the corn dolls, or the nesting, or not nesting dolls? I know what you're talking about.
I can't think what they're called.
Yeah,
but
I know exactly what you're talking about.
The Shawnee has one of the big blue giant, and they won't show them to the white man, for the simple reason is they know it's the white man's evil, and if the white man sees it, it will bring the evilness of the creature out, and will bring the creature out. Mm-hmm. You know, so yeah, but the Cherokee, what's kind of unique is that the Cherokee here in Ohio, they all their masks, Cherokee masks, you can tell the different. They're all the nose are crooked, except for the booger, which is the Bigfoot. It's the only mask that's got a flat nose. Mm-hmm. And they have a dance called the booger dance. And what the booger dance is, it's the wild man or wild woman of the wood dances with the children, and tells that if the children's not good, or don't pay attention to their parents, the booger's going to come in at night and take them away and eat them.
Yeah, okay. I was going to talk about that earlier. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and when the white man started to go further west and got into the Ohio Valley, and he started picking up this Native American folklore, so that's where we get the boogeyman from.
Right.
It came from the Cherokee culture of the wild man of the woods.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Before we get too late into the show, I just wanted to, because I believe she's listening in, I just wanted to thank Cindy Miller-Kreiner for hooking you two up with us tonight.
Thank you, Sandy.
Yeah, I wanted to give her a shout-out, too. Thank you, Sandy.
So, just wanted to make sure that we gave her some kudos for that.
Tell Kennedy I said hi.
I'm sure they hear you.
Well, over at No Boundaries Media Entertainment, and that's NoBoundariesMediaEntertainment.com. You can go there, and they also have a Facebook as well.
Perfect.
Oh, yeah. And
I'm sorry I called her Cindy.
And both of you have websites too, correct?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I don't. My websites are down. I'm redoing my websites right now.
Okay.
And I kind of stopped because I've been doing so much stuff with Mysteries and Monsters of America and things, and I just haven't had time. And then so I'm working on this magazine project I've been working on for oh my God, almost a year, and I've been putting my heart and soul into this thing, and I'm trying to get it out by the first of the year and stuff. I had a couple people that were going to help, and then all of a sudden, you know how people are when they want to help, they kind of forget who you are.
We're quite aware of that.
So I've been doing this thing all kind of all on my own, and and stuff. So and things. So, but
all right. Well, what's your website, Raven?
Just www.cryptoraven.com, and I've got kind of the same thing going on. I'm getting ready to do some updates and additions, and so, it needs some work, but certainly you can go there and you can see I do have a photo album, a video album, and some other things there, and my calendar of events, and everything's there.
All right.
And I'm working on some projects, too. And, by the way, I had wanted to mention earlier that Nick and I are going back on the air January 28th. That's on a Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern.
Okay.
Exploring All Realms with Redfern and Raven. We'll be back on the air.
All right. Very good.
Cool.
Any more questions, Bruce?
No, I'm really eagerly awaiting their show to come on, and your reality show that you were talking about earlier. So that should be a lot of fun.
Yep, it should be. Well, we enjoyed having both of you on tonight. I think everybody kind of enjoyed the information. I know I was pretty psyched up about it. So.
Yep.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much for inviting us.
Oh, you were
quite
welcome.
That was a lot of fun.
It sure was, and Raven and Joedy, don't be strangers.
Absolutely.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. Yeah, definitely. I'll definitely see you guys at the your Cryptid conference this year. Definitely going to come to that.
Oh, you are? That's awesome.
Well. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely going to come to that.
Very good.
Oh, hey, Joedy. Thanks for reminding me. Do you have an inventory of the books that you mentioned? Because I've had people in Ohio come up to me and say, "Hey, how can I get a copy of Jody's book?" And I usually say, "Well, wait for it to come on eBay. You can get it for like $1."
No, they can go on. They can go on Amazon, Amazon Books, and all they have to do is just type in just go to AmazonBooks.com and just type in my name, Joedy Cook, and all my books will come up there. So,
you sure about that? Because I think one of your books is not in print anymore.
Well, no, there's Cryptid Ohio and Scary Ohio. I pulled off because I'm redoing them because I'm updating those two books.
Okay.
Okay, those are just the only two because I'm adding some more stuff to those books. So I just pulled them off and things. So those probably won't be back up until after the first of the year. But all the other books, Bigfoot in Ohio, Traces of the Grassman, Beginner's Guide, my werewolf book. I got a new werewolf book, actually, a new Dogman book that's coming out the first of the year called the Ohio Dogman Werewolf Sightings of the Northeast. That comes out at the first of the year also, and so that's a new one coming out. But my 2 zombie ones and stuff are still on there, and Humanoid Encounters 1 and 2, it's still on there also. So everything's up there except for those 2. But just tell them to go to Amazon.com books, or just look me up on Facebook and tell me you're trying to get a hold of my books, and I'll get you in contact, on how to get it.
Okay. Yeah, the one they asked about was the Ohio Grassman one.
Well, there's 2 of them. One's called Legend of the Grassman, which is just based on Salt Fork itself and the Monsterquest show. And then there's Traces of the Grassman, which deals about Grassman of all of Ohio. So, and that one's the little bit better one. So, yeah, but that one's on Amazon also.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. Very good.
But like I said, I'll most likely will get a vendor table from you if you're going to have them for sale at your conference, and I'll have them set up all there.
You'll probably, if you get a vendor table, you'll probably sell a ton of those books at the conference because for some reason, our first year we had Linda Godfrey as a speaker, and there's been a lot of interest in Dogman / werewolf type settings.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, yeah, it's like that first issue of Crypto Seeker magazine is going to be an all werewolf issue, all Dogman issue. It's going to be dealing with all different sightings and stuff like that. So that's going to be a really good issue.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Joedy. I think there's always been like a stigmatism with these Dogman sightings. The hardcore Bigfooters kind of look down on people who research Dogman, but I agree with you that Dogman is going to be kind of a next hot cryptid.
It is. It definitely is. And the thing of it is, it's just until they get a sighting of their own or a report of their own or something like that, then they're going to start looking into it. So you'll see. Yeah.
All right.
And yeah, so I forgot what I was going to say, Billy. Go ahead.
Well, no, I was just going to say, I just wanted to, again, thank both Raven and Joedy for being on the show. And we typically keep the show to an hour, but y'all were so exciting we had to keep it on an extra 20 minutes.
Oh, yeah, we did run a little bit over.
So we had the time, so it worked.
That was all that blackjack and buffet talk at the beginning.
I know.
Yeah, now I'm hungry. I need. Yeah.
So yeah, please accept our invitation to come back, and
definitely.
We will certainly talk to y'all again real soon. And thanks so much for being on the show.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for having us.
I appreciate it.
All right. Good night, Joedy and Raven.
You guys.
Good night.
You guys have a good one.
You too.
Good night.
You too.
All right.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, Bruce, we've tied up another show. I would like to mention before we go off the air a couple announcements. First of all, we want everyone to keep in mind about the Creature Weekend event. Creature Weekend comes up in May 2014 this year. Bruce, what are the dates?
May 16th through the 18th, so it's the weekend after Mother's Day in May.
Okay. So definitely keep that in mind, folks. It's going to be an exciting event. I can promise you that. And then also another announcement is we now have a website for the radio show.
Yes, we do.
It's SasquatchWatchRadio.com. So if you want to see what the upcoming episode is, you can go there. If you want to listen to archived shows, that's on there. And then we also have a discussion board on the website. So if you want to give us guest suggestions, there's a section for that. There's also a section for any comments that you may have, things that you see we need to improve on, or things that you like. Kind of helps to, let us know what you all think. And then, of course, if you have questions and you don't want to type it in the chat or you don't want to call in, there's a section there where you can type in a question for the upcoming guest, and then I'll check that thing during the show, and if you got a question, then I can ask the question. So check it out, and feel free to leave us any comments. Believe that's all we've got.
That's another wrap up for an interesting show, Billy.
Yep. And next Tuesday night, folks, we're going to have our Topic Tuesday. So that'll be a topic where you are all welcome to call in and give us your opinions. That's mainly what it's for. We open up the phone line so that folks can call in and give us opinions on our topic. So keep a watch out for that. That'll be advertised by the weekend. So keep an eye open for that. And Bruce, if you don't have anything else, we'll wrap this up.
Well, Billy, I just wanted to wish everyone a very happy and safe Thanksgiving holiday.
Same here. Everybody have a great Thanksgiving. Try not to eat as much as Bruce does, and you may live to see another day.
Thanks, Billy. I appreciate that.
Eat your greens. Bruce, are you going to eat greens for Thanksgiving?
It is definitely not in my plan to eat any greens for Thanksgiving. So you know how I hate veggies.
I know. Doesn't hurt for me to try. I keep preaching to you. It's kind of like you keep telling someone to stop smoking.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, Billy.
All right, we'll see you all next Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. Until then, everyone have a great holiday, and we'll see you next week. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of Sasquatch Watch Radio. Remember to join us again next Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. We appreciate every one of our listeners. Thank you so much for being here.
Instacart shoppers know groceries. They know that you can't make guacamole with rock-hard avocados. They know how to quickly find those peanut butter pretzels you can never find. And they keep you in the know by giving you updates about your order along the way. Let Instacart shoppers help take shopping off your plate so you can get time and energy back for what really matters. Visit instacart.com or download the app to get free delivery on your first 3 orders. Offer valid for a limited time. Minimum order $10. Additional terms apply. Instacart. Add life to cart.
The savings rock when you find a new way to roll, like sharing the ride to work. Even if you're commuting just a few days a week, Commuter Connections can match you with others who live and work near you. It's easy and free. Plus, you can get cash and other rewards for carpooling, up to $600 a year. Get rolling on a new way to work with rideshare. Register today at commuterconnections.org or call 1-800-745-RIDE. That's commuterconnections.org. Some restrictions apply.